businesses that I believe in. And so, what better way to launch the More Than Music podcast but to do a business edition? And so let me tell you, the company that literally aligned themselves with me, and how God did this. Okay, God did this because there's been production companies that wanted the podcast. There's been organizations that wanted the podcast, but we really wanted to create our own space and be able to do it our own way. And God aligned us with this amazing space called Cowo and Creche. And God did this thing so beautifully. So sitting with me is Shamena Nurse-Kingsley. She is my very first guest for the More Than Music podcast. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I cannot believe that we're here right now. Like nerding out, but thank you. I appreciate this. Thank you.
You're very welcome. You're very welcome. So let's talk about how God has aligned us, right? It's almost like when it's kingdom relationships. And so literally I was introduced to Shamena through the Northern Virginia Black Chamber of Commerce.
Right.
They did an event at this space here in Alexandria. And she and I just connected as she was introducing the space and the desire to do it. And we just took a little quick tour around. And the entire time I was like, I absolutely love this. And it aligned with what God really wants done in the kingdom and how it came about. We're going to get into the conversation. But I really loved, just the presentation and your heart. And the space. It is amazing. So when we met and we talked and we came together in us, sharing what we wanted to do with the More Than Music podcast, she said, let's create a space where you can build a studio at Cowo and Creche.
It's just that simple.
It was just that simple. Yeah. They made the investment, created this beautiful room in this space and production element for me where my team is able to do podcasting, and others can also do podcasting here. But that isn't even really what the space was about.
No.
But look at what God has done. Do you see how beautiful this space is? This space, says Cheryl Jackson. It just literally does.
I love it. I said when you sort of inspired this paint, I'm so silly when we were thinking about like paint color, and then I am nobody's designer, but I saw the swatches and this paint is actually called Chocolate Soul, and I said, ooh. That is the design aesthetic that I'm going for right now. Right? I was like, oh, Chocolate Soul.
So my DJ is DJ Soul, right?
Oh,
so it's just
the alignment is aligning all the way through, down
all
to the paint.
way through.
Yes.
So Shamena allowed my team to help decorate and create the space for us, to make it what it is today. And man, I'm just grateful. I'm grateful.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting us. I mean, we'll get into it, but there's so many people that like have kind of come and gone. When you're an entrepreneur and you're new on the scene, you're like this bright, shiny thing for some people, but you have been one of the very few people I can count on my hand that means what you say and say what you mean. And to be able to like have that relationship and see this actually come to fruition means so much, especially people, it's not even in the world, just even kingdom folks you'll meet, and you assume like, oh, you're Christian and you say you're going to show up and help us and be here for us. That's a no-brainer. I trust it. Like, oh, okay, I'm going to see you. And they're like, oh, well, I don't see you, right? And that's fine. That has a place for it. God understands. I understand that everything has its place, and He gets the glory in all of it. And so we're just grateful that you've trusted us and that you've actually followed through with this. So thank you.
And vice versa. We talk about it all the time, and people who are close to me know that the position that I'm in, people can take advantage of. So I thank God for my team. I thank God. I want to shout out, and I will shout out, my team at the end, but I do want to shout out my manager. She is my best friend for 50 years. Exactly.
Wow.
Like she's been there in my corner and pushing and directing me. And I'm going to really try hard not to cry, but, but she's been there and seeing the vision and walking out the vision. And then God aligned me with my agent, Brandon, who connected us, right? And Brandon has been the brainchild behind connecting all of these things. But the way that God orchestrated this, I could not have done myself. But what I do know, Shamena, is for this podcast and for the thing that I own, or the content that I create, God gave me a peace and a settling. So I wasn't anxious to get it done. I knew it was going to get done, but I wasn't anxious. And I really sat back and just waited on him to give perfect opportunity. So you and your husband walked into that purpose, that perfect opportunity. So it aligned. You know what I mean?
I do it. I just look at you. I'm like, thank you for your obedience, right? Because
Yeah.
we never know like who we are when we're on our walk. Like our obedience actually opens the doors, right, for other people. And now I'm just being reminded, if you've been around church long enough, you hear, that's our prayers, right? Like God, open doors that no man can close and close doors that no man can open. And so just hearing you speak, what came to my mind automatically was obedience, right? Like your obedience created space and creates like that door to be opened, right? So when we say open doors and no man can close, it's like, yeah, God, you got this. Like Cheryl obeyed you, and in her obedience is creating space and opportunities for a small business such as ourselves. And so thank you for your obedience.
Man, it feels good. It feels right. Everybody was asking, are you nervous? Are you excited? I am. I feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Do you know what I mean? It's like the opportunities, even producing Get Up Mornings with Erica Campbell, it feels great. Like it's not forced. It's not something I tried to create or conjured up. Like you knew it was a space where God wants us to be. And that's how I feel. That's how I feel. So thank you for the relationship. All right. So, everybody knows that I do music. I executive produce the morning show. I do radio and I introduce music. But what you really need to know is that I am more than music, which is where we came up with the name for the podcast. And so we're not just going to interview artists during this podcast. We will do businesses. We will do ministers. We will do speakers. We will do influencers. We will do a number of people that we will interview. But somehow, some way, it's going to relate into what I'm passionate about. And so I think that because of what I'm passionate about, folk will be interested to watch it and understand and grow. So I am excited. I just wanted to give understanding of what the More Than Music podcast is all about.
It's exciting.
What a great way to get started, though. Let's get into it. All right. So, Shamena, just tell us, your story about Cowo and Creche, right? How you developed it. First, give us some background. Tell us about you and your family before we get into the business.
Oh, man. Oh, gosh. Where do you start? So my lifed us. life to my family. So I am Caribbean made, Brooklyn raised, Caribbean.
You'll hear the New York come out.
Yes, I think what time is 7:00. I think past. I will work on my diction, and you will hear all my degrees during the day. And then, like after the sun sets, I'm like, listen, I need coffee, and that's like,
you need what? Coffee, right?
So stop, because I cannot say it like any other. I'm looking around. It's the only way. It's coffee, okay? But yeah, no. So I think, and I just mentioned that because that just gave me a grit. So to even like be here, right? That has I think a large part with one, like being Christian. That's my background. Being Caribbean, being raised like in New York, in Brooklyn. Like I joke, like I'm from Brooklyn before there was like a Whole Foods in Brooklyn. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like don't get it twisted, right? Like I don't know what y'all seeing out there right now, but let me let you know. Like
when I grew up there
in the early 90s, having to like take the bus places, right? Oh, let me tell you. So it was a whole situation. And fast forward now here in life, my husband, the love of my life, you've met him. He is my CHO, my Chief Husband Officer.
Okay. I have one of them.
Yes.
But go ahead.
And so we have our 3 wonderful children, 18, 6, and 5. Those are my hurry up and dones. Because I know
Really?
black
So
don't
I
crack.
didn't know you
Yeah.
had an 18-year-old.
Yes. Right.
Okay.
Right. I know, right? Like how, Shamena? Yes, I do. And so those are our hurry up and dones because I'm no spring chicken, right? So when I had the last two, I was at the point in my career where I couldn't just get by. Like you can't skate by, right?
Mm-hmm.
And fast forward to pandemic times, and we're there with two little ones. My husband's actually in tech. I was in the federal government at the time. So different, right? It was a little bit more old school. They didn't adopt necessarily the concept of remote work. That wasn't a thing, right?
Right.
My husband's out here, tech bro. These people have like summer Fridays. Like, what is that? Oh, you get a half a day because it's June and a Friday. No, that you know what I mean. So he
Mm-hmm.
had that kind of flexibility and that type of culture. So he definitely worked from home. We had our little ones. So he was taking care of the kids, actually, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so when I finally convinced, I wouldn't say convinced like a hard thing, but I was able to say, hey, can I work from home a couple days a week? I want to stay married. I want to have my family. This
Right.
is stressing this man out. He is great, but it is stressful. My kids would just cling to me, right? Which is understandable. It didn't
Mm-hmm.
matter how much room we had in the house. I mean, if I'm working, they're working. Like they are I have pictures, Cheryl, of them under the desk just looking at me like, hey,
Oh.
how you doing? No, nah, it's embarrassing. 'Cause, you be on a Teams call
And you
or
worked
whatever.
for like the military. You worked for generals and things,
Yeah,
right?
so at the time I was up at the Pentagon during that time. So it was just like they were not like people are graceful but side eye. You know what I mean? So I just said one day, I said, hey honey, what if there was some place where I could have focused work and the kids were being taught? Because if we're being very honest, YouTube was raising them, right? Like that's just what that
Gotcha.
was. Like Miss Rachel needs to get money and like from me, right? Shout out to Miss Monica and all the teachers on YouTube. I feel like I should share the kids' social security number with them. Like they need deductions. That's where we are right now. And so I said, I want more than this. But because I also saw the beauty of them being at home with us, I got to see first steps. I got to see their personalities. Those were things because you have your old, as well. So with Aiden, I had just got out the military at the time, building my career back up. I missed everything. Like Aiden called my mommy mom.
Oh.
Yes. And let me tell you, I have a Caribbean mother. She calls me while I was at work. She's not sensitive. I'm not speaking about all Caribbean women. Please don't come for me, people. My mother, and from her particular region, they're not sensitive. I remember her calling me at work. She was just so happy. She said, Aiden said, Mama. I said, oh, thank you. Right. And I just
Wow.
remember just like bawling and crying. And so fast forward to being around, our last two, being able to be there. And they're calling me mama. I'm seeing the first steps. I'm learning your personality. You know what I mean? Like I know then if you're down, what does that look like? Because I'm actually able to be around you, and not just dropping you off and hustling all the time. And so that was it. We were just go on these walks, and I just said that to God, my husband, Godfrey. I said, hey babe, what if we could create this space where like we could like we can work, but the kids were being taken care of at the same time. And he was like, oh, like you mean a crush? And I was like, ooh, what's that? So my husband's Nigerian, right?
Gotcha.
Gotta love the British influence all the way around, I suppose. And so he was like a crush. And I was like, what is that? He was like, you know what it is. I was like, but I don't, right? I was like, but it sounds fancy. Tell me. He was like, it's a place where you take your children. That's what you call it. I said, ooh, I like it.
Is that that is a British term?
See, I don't.
It sounds French, right?
Right. But they use it in Britain as well
Okay.
as France, because we were there last year. We were in France and we were walking, and literally it says blah blah blah
Crash.
and I was like, oh, so it's like universal over there. But anyway, I kind of look. I pitched him the idea. My husband is not a yes man. Let me help you. He was like, I said, I feel like God. Because that's what you want to lead with, right before they shut something down. You're like, I feel like the Lord put this on my heart, which He did. I wasn't being a scammer. The Lord did put it on my heart, because even when I was looking into my own situation, I started looking it up first, like where can I work
Mm-hmm.
and have my children, and there was nothing really there.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I can't be the only one. And then I started seeing the statistics. Over 3 million women had to leave the workforce,
Yeah.
So it's like, wait, that doesn't make sense, right? So then I was like, well, it's not a family issue, it's an economic issue, because now
Mm-hmm.
if you're taking us out the work, when you have money, you shop. Cheryl Jackson,
That's right. Yeah.
you shop, you give, you invest, you spend.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have over 3 million women leaving the workforce. So I just wanted better.
And that's something though, like I even, when I started having children, I considered leaving the workforce because my daughter was born a preemie, a pound and a half. And so God gave us a daycare provider who understood preemies. And that was really a God move. But before finding her, we had to come up with that idea, like whether we want to leave the workforce so we can raise our children, or do we stay in the workforce and find somebody that's going to help us with it? Like, you know what I mean? So I really love the concept and how God authentically gave it to you, not just for women, but for families. So let's talk about it. It's Cowo and Creche. So Shamena and her husband own this co-op called Cowo and Creche. And the difference in their co-op is that, as she said, it's workspace, but it's also daycare. So for you that are working moms, you're working from your home and you're not able to work from home and have that peace of mind because your babies are wrapped around your legs or doing whatever it is they're doing. And for me, it was my dog who was like right at my feet during the pandemic, everywhere I went, right there, and the camera and things. There's a space where you can come and create go ahead and build your business in this office space while there's daycare with curriculum.
Right.
So the space is called Cowo and Creche.
Right. So you say that's when I go back to like, why are these things so important to me? Because I think back to like, so our children are first generation American. Like I said, so I was born in Guyana. Godfrey's born in Nigeria. So when you come here, like to this country, like my family in particular came here in the 80s. Education was like so big to us, right? And like they remind you, like remember in Living Color back in the day. I'm the pilot, the flight attendant, you know what I mean? Like I had 10 jobs, and so like that's my family. It was a constant reminder of like we've had 10 jobs to support y'all. Y'all better learn.
You better learn. And I need y'all to be doctors and lawyers. Like you got to be something that
just no other option. Even now, I can be like, "What do you own? What, a business? Oh. Is it right? So are you? So nobody's going to medical school. You just own a business.
That's what everybody's going to ask.
And they're like, are you going to open a law office in that business? No, we'll come back.
But there will be lawyers in my business.
Yeah, they're like, we'll be proud of you later. Right. But so for me, even thinking through everything, like, so everything is like a value for me, right? Like your dollars matter. And so for me, if you're coming here, first of all, you trust us with just being in our space, and then you trust us with your child, and you're giving us money to do so, I want you to get value. Yeah. And so I hope that's like what you see when you say, like, we come to the space, you see the intention, even though, we're smaller, and that's okay because we're small on purpose. We're not going to be your run-of-the-mill 50, 100 children in a daycare. That's
which is good.
Yeah, that's not my calling, right? Yeah. Like I want it to be that boutique one-on-one space that we're able to like give your baby that attention. We're able to like teach them, learn them. We're able to like get on our app. We have a daycare management app, and I can write you and say, the baby's about to roll over, or the baby's about to take like first steps, and you can see pictures, or you can come and have circle time. I mean, it just makes you feel better if you're able to have that opportunity. And I understand not everyone can have it, but if you can, it's a pretty cool thing.
So let's talk about the office space here. Let's talk about the different rooms, the different things that you offer here at Cowo and Creche.
Right. So thank you. We have collaborative spaces. So we have like an open lounge area that you can come and work. We have mixed spaces where if you come in, you can share. And you can sort of flow. So we have all these different packages on our website, www.cowocreche.com, that you could go to. But what I'm most proud of, I call them mommy pods. So you have like rooms that are set up. It's pretty.
Yeah,
I'm a girl.
All the rooms
I'm a girl.
Are
I'm a girly girl. That's the room I have to throw pinks in and flowers and super girly about,
Yeah.
that you can be there and work and have that focus time. And then we have private offices. So we have folks that actually, because of their sort of profession, vocation, whether we have like therapists on site, we have people that do like we have a nurse here that does like telehealth.
Oh,
They
wow.
need more privacy, so they have their private office space that's not shared, but we're also very flexible, right?
Mhm.
So we're not, where other co-working spaces I think will say, well, oh, you have to be here and pay for 30 days out the month. Well, what if you're a startup? What if you're just you're a small business yourself?
Mhm.
Why would I ask you to pay for 30 days a month and you don't need that, right?
Right.
So we customize for people. So
So you
yes,
get some opportunities is where you can pay as you go, like as this pay whenever you need the space.
so we have that as
Yes.
well, but in regards to the office spaces, it's more so, I think I was trying to highlight the fact that we're more flexible
Gotcha.
in the sense of, so like maybe Cheryl Jackson Enterprises, right? You're like, we can knock out, me and my team can knock out our work 2 days a week. Shamena, we don't need Monday through Friday.
Mm.
Give us Taco Tuesday because we can go. I know y'all like
Which,
that
by the
taco.
way, are so good in this area.
Taco
But I
place.
digress.
Right? You need to cross the street. They have poached lobster tacos. They are not paying me for this. But
Right.
let
So
me
we're
tell
not
you-
giving names.
No, we're not giving names.
Yeah.
But there's a taco place here that has lobster tacos on Tuesdays. And so, but you're like, okay, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are the days we want. That's fine. So you come here, you have that private office for your team. We have meeting rooms, conference rooms. You have access to that. So if you needed to Zoom in with anybody, I don't even know the virtual, right?
Right.
I feel like, can I tell you, I'm a mature millennial. I hear myself the Zoom. What do you call
The
it?
Zoom.
The Zoom.
The Zoom.
Well, let me tell you, fun fact, because I was federal all these years. I mean, I was saying now, I've actually just left Secret Service. I was in Secret Service for the last 14 years of my life. And so, not that you can't have social media, you can. I just wanted, a very vanilla sort of life. And let me be honest, I was protecting my checks. So I didn't want nobody to ever say they saw me say anything crazy on anybody's social media.
Right.
And so when this business came up, I had to get out of social media. And so the first thing I said, I was like, oh, I got to get on the Facebook.
The Facebook.
And my cousins were like, ooh, you are old. It is Facebook. I was like, it's not the Facebook. So anyway, I had to learn. So I digress. But yes, so yeah, if you wanted that flexibility, you can come in here and you can have that. So you have the days that your team is able to focus. And then maybe I'm going to pick on him. He's in the background, Yeah, Brandon, right? If he has his enterprise, Brandon's like, listen, me and my team, we can knock this out on Mondays. So
we can share that space.
Yeah. So my background, I have a great background in budget and logistics.
Oh.
And so I love that, being able to organize. I call it people Tetris. I'm able to move things around in the background. So we have our matrix. We know how we are able to take care of that seamlessly for you. And then we just knock down a wall.
Yes.
From the first time you came.
Yes. And turn that into a huge event space. If you guys want to do book clubs, if you want to do a social or any of those things, you can have it right here at Cowo. And it's so sexy. It's decorated so nice. I mean, I shouldn't say sexy, but it is. It's like that.
Thank you. Well, I mean, I did it. So I feel like that's pretty
But it
brand.
is. It's really, really nice. Like the decor, my I was always talk about Ursula, but her and Sabrina are my team, and they have that whole designer eye. So she's looking at chairs in there and oh, this is amazing. I need to figure out where she got that chair. So it's that kind of space where if you want to kick back, if you want, that intimate, you could do, album release parties here. You can do, you can do a number of things in that space.
We have one coming up.
Really?
Yes, we do. I'll say about that.
Okay.
But yeah, we have one coming up here in the next couple of weeks. No, thank you for saying that. And that's one of the things when you're designing is I wanted it to feel like if you're going to leave your house, I want it to feel good. But sometimes when I look at other spaces, how they're decorated, they're beautiful.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, but I wanted to add a warmth here. And I think
that's a great description. That's a great description from office to office, to the common area, the kitchen area. in this co-op is so absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
So I see folk chiming in and coming in. And so I want to say hi to everybody who's watching. This is our inaugural show, our More Than Music podcast. It is the business edition that we kicked off, and we're kicking it off with Cowo Creche. So Shamena Nurse-Kingsley is the owner of this amazing space that we are sharing with you today. And so listen, if you have comments for Shamena, if you have comments for me, if you have anything to say or ask while we're doing this podcast, by all means, this is why we're doing it live. By all means, ask the question. We want to be able to answer your questions. And thank you for watching. Share and like, and tell everybody else to watch the More Than Music podcast. Back to Shamena.
So I'm gonna tell you the one thing. I'm gonna have to correct you.
Okay.
On the one thing. So I tell you this.
What?
I don't say that I own the space.
Oh.
I don't. I say God owns it.
Okay.
And I'm not being funny when I say that. It's a responsibility thing, because when this rain is due,
I was like, where did I mess up at that? No, but I get it.
No,
I was like, wait, you don't own it? You renting? What you doing? Like, what?
No, I say
you renting? You're the co-op that's winning the co-op. No, I get it.
Right?
I get it.
But because I saw it when, let me tell you, I am an accidental entrepreneur, right? When you talk about business, it's just, you feel called to it, right?
Yeah.
And so when you asked that question before about like when I was hinting at my background, it's like I have that audacity, right, to say, well, why couldn't I?
Mm-hmm.
Like you're right. We're in a Class A building. We're in a beautiful building, and
we've
been blessed with a little over 12,000 square feet.
Yeah.
You know, so I see sometimes people, the math ain't mathing, but I'm like, does she match this? Yeah, we do, but it's by the grace of God. And so I've taken that stance. It wasn't always that way. I actually read this. It was a Christian devotional, because let me tell you one thing about business. If you were not close, if you were a Christian in business and you were not as close, you will get very close to the Lord. Really?
Listen, I want to talk about some pros and cons, but go ahead.
Yeah.
With your
and so when I was reading this devotional, that's one of the things that he said. I can't think of his name, but he said at one point, in his entrepreneurial journey, he had to stop and just say, you know what? Because people come up to you and say, oh, this is great. Oh, this is so beautiful. This is so nice. Oh, you own this. No, ma'am. No, sir. I don't own a thing. God owns this.
Yeah. I
am a steward of the space, and that gives me peace. I mean, it is. I cried. Don't get me wrong. This is heavy to carry. But when it's all said and done, I'm like, God, you own this. You will never fail. You have never failed. And it's certainly not going to start with Shamena Nurse-Kingsley. Let me tell you right now. So I'd be like, Lord, look, the people said rentals do.
I love your tenacity. I think we need that. We need that tenacity. I want to get into the stories of, the beginnings, the humble beginnings, the struggle. I want to talk about that. And I want to talk about some victories as well. But as we're talking about space, I also want you to talk about your nonprofit, because I think one of the things that really knitted our hearts together is my desire is to create a closet. I want to do Cheryl's closet, right? Don't y'all steal my concept. But I want to do Cheryl, and I won't be the first one to ever do this. But I want to do Cheryl's closet because I have so many, you would never believe this, but I have so many clothes.
No. Anybody that comes out with a sparkly brooch, look at the beautiful brooch. That is like the next level of fashion. Like, it's not enough. When you come with a brooch, honey, you have arrived.
You already know I have what my closet look like, right? I have like clothes, boutiques have given me clothes, and I have clothes, some that have tags still on them. I have beautiful, beautiful pieces that I just don't want to give. I don't want to throw away. Right. Yeah. But I want to be able to create this space. And you and I talked about this, where I am able to present a closet where those who have been battered, those who are struggling, women that are struggling will be able to come and literally shop in my closet. Like,
I just had we should do a pop-up.
We should.
Can we get that on the book?
Do y'all see me in the camera? We should.
Do a pop-up. Why not?
And just do it here.
Do a pop-up. Do it here.
Do y'all hear this?
We'll pull the racks out. We'll make
Look at my team. They like, yes.
No, but it'd be nice because then like we could do hors d'oeuvres. We could like have it really be nice. We could set up because they have the coat racks. So you have the coat racks, and then we'll do.
You see how God does. Do y'all see? Y'all are witnessing firsthand the things that God is doing with this relationship. But I'm so, yes, let's do that.
Yes, okay,
Let's do that. Okay,
table it.
we'll
But yes,
talk about that later on a different podcast.
yes,
But
right,
on
right,
this
right.
one,
Yes.
okay. Talk
So
about your nonprofit, because that's what connected us. When you told me what you were doing
Yeah.
for moms, I was like, that's exactly what I want to do with Cheryl Jackson's Closet.
so
But go ahead.
that one, I'm actually so the thing about me that I've learned is that I'm like a conduit, right? And not like some weird spiritual sense. Like it's just
Mhm.
literally like in spiritual sense of like how the word I just heard myself say like, oh, that sounds weird. No,
Yeah.
I mean when we're saying we're blessed to be a blessing. So that particular space, so we're forming our own nonprofit. It was me bringing people together and giving them that space. So that particular boutique belongs to like this great nonprofit here in the DMV area. But for
Yeah.
us, it was like, no, come use our space. That's free of charge. And while we are able to like work on our own, and they're able to come and donate. So that's the Villa Moms. They're here in the DMV area. Um, because you get comfortable sometimes, and I
Yeah.
forget I was in my little middle class, dare I say upper middle class
Mhm.
life, and not realizing that hey, people need Pampers. People
Yeah.
need clothes
Formula,
and
clothes,
formula, car seats, right? Which
baby
are not
wipes.
cheap.
I
and
know. We
and
were talking, my husband and I was talking about how much, baby wipes and things cost when we were having children. And I can't even imagine.
first of all, I won't even tell you about the bougie baby wipes that exist. Like like ma'am, I don't even know how our children survive with the chemicals, because now when you get the wipes, no ma'am, they're like nothing is created equally anymore. You
Right.
have baby wipes and then you have the baby wipes, right? And so it's like hyperallergenic, 99%. It basically is it's water.
Mhm.
I don't know how they preserve it. It's water on a napkin.
Right.
That's what it is. But you pay more to have less chemicals, right? But so that space, they're able to come and donate, right? So it's both, right?
Yeah.
They're able to come and give. So we have everything from formula to Pampers to clothing. But I knew that when they were setting it up, I said, hey, can we make this boutique? I don't want anyone coming in here and be taking anything out of a garbage bag or
Yeah.
just whatever, right? Like if you're gonna do something, always do it with class, always do it well. And just because it's charity, that doesn't mean
Yeah.
you get carte blanche to just give people whatever. That's so crazy to me. Not that that was their thought, but I'm just saying that's how I lead.
Mhm.
And so we set it up as a boutique, and you have racks and you can come, and they've done a great job just separating everything by size. So you're not rummaging through things if you come to look for something for your child. You have baby, newborn, 2T, 3T, even clothes for moms. Maternity clothes, like I'm not gonna lie, I held on to my maternity jeans probably a little bit. I mean, like I'm not judging anybody out there, but like if your child is now started school, you
And you
probably
still wearing them?
I was like, they don't have a zipper. It's fine. They just pull right on up. These make me comfortable. But like even that, right? Baby carriers. Like when you
Yeah.
think of like a car seat, I remember looking at this Facebook page, and because that's the thing, I was in my own little world as well, because I've never been on the Facebook, right? I've never been in the mom groups. I never had access to really, I just lived in my little bubble, and that was it. And I remember even there was this mom whose husband got into a car accident
Mhm.
and passed away,
Wow.
and the car seats are in that vehicle, right? Like that's the
Wow.
last thing, and that is like writing to this Facebook page, like, hey, does anyone have car seats? Because I have to hurry up and run errands and do arrangements and things like that that you would like never think about. And then
Yeah.
you see the community. Yes, we do have a car seat for you. Yes, you can
Mhm.
come in and get that those type of things. And so yeah, so just being blessed to be a blessing. I
Yeah.
think that
So the space, they have it here at Cowo Creche, and they partner with this nonprofit that will help mothers who are in need of whatever it is they need: Pampers that day, wipes that day, formula that day, clothes that day. And you know how fast babies grow out of clothes. And she has it all set up in a beautiful boutique space here at Cowo Creche. And so I wanted to talk about that, because I think that when you showed me that, I was like, wow, I want that. So listen, we're about to do a pop-up. That's coming next.
yeah, because they have pop-up shops.
Yes, absolutely.
I
And
mean,
my team and I've been talking about it forever.
That's a
And now
thing.
we have a space that
Because
we
if
can
you
do
listen,
it.
if you got people in the world, I know Kanye and them, and they be having his look. Well, let me not talk about that man, but I know I've seen in New York City and various other folks, or they'll have. I listen, if Skims could go and have a pop up, that's the thing. Like, this is what I love being a Christian in business. Like, we don't have to emulate the world, but if the world can be so bold to say
you have said nothing but a word. That will be our next project.
Yes,
that will be the next project. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit, because I know those that are watching, some may have just launched businesses, or some may be in their business, or maybe even wanting to do a business. We could look at the success of things right now, because all the rooms look amazing. Like you have your concepts in place. The people that you can sign up in this office space. Those that are working as co-ops and just using a cubicle, or those who mommies are here on Tuesday and Wednesday and they have their babies, in the daycare all throughout the week, or dropping off their kids, and you have all that already in place and it looks like it's a working operation. So let's talk about some growing pains. So you left a huge contract in the government to create this business, and like right outside the pandemic or during the pandemic.
No, so I actually was still working.
Got you.
So
when you started?
Yes.
Got you.
Yes.
Got you.
Yes. I tell you that. Listen, Brooklyn.
So you was like, I'm not leaving that. That was, I'm not leaving this yet. I need to make sure.
We need the benefits. Yes. Because, this was stressing me out. I need to go see somebody.
Right.
And get that insurance. But no, so we built this.
While still working. Both you and Godfrey were still working?
Yes, ma'am.
Really?
I tell you, we have 4 jobs. Yes, ma'am.
So how did that work for you when you guys got started? Like, that's wise to do, because I could hear my mother saying, "Don't ever leave that job unless you have another job."
Let me push back. I don't know I don't know how wise it was.
Got you.
Because to do my job at the time with integrity, and I did. This was second shift. Ooh. So then you have to understand. So I was the type of person, right? I used to listen. I couldn't have coffee past 11 o'clock in the morning. Okay, because then you be like, "Ooh, jitters." Listen, 7, 8 o'clock. I'm like, get that Keurig popping at night, because I still be able to sleep. Because,
by the way, the daycare space they also do date night opportunities, right, where they allow you to drop your children off while you and your husband are taking a day, or if you need a break between these particular hours, they will watch your children.
Right, which we had to pivot, because the parents were like, "Listen, we tired. Can you give us a day date?" So we actually
you do it during the day.
Now was like Saturdays. At least one Saturday out the month from like 10 to 2.
That's amazing.
Yeah, so they're like, because now they're like, the ones especially have little ones, they're like, "Yeah, listen, if we could just go to lunch, or if we could just like go nap, can we drop?" I'm like, "Y'all gonna go nap? I got you." So they drop the kids off on a Saturday, go to brunch and nap, and then but their children are here in the trusted space for like 4 hours. But that just goes to, so we're in the DMV area, just like so many, I think, people you'll meet. By and large, is because of work. So we don't have any family in the area. So Godfrey and I, there was no like real opportunity to say we're going to go on dates. And we never wanted our teenager watching the little ones to put that on him. That's not his responsibility. You can every now and then, but that was just our choice. And so to even go on a date, to leave our child with someone that we trusted, it was like, oh, okay, I guess we having dates at home. Like, we were Netflix and chill, because we're like, we ain't going nowhere, right? And so I think that's one of the beautiful things about this space, that God has allowed me to just the freedom to like, I'm a mommy. Like, what would I want? Like, so I don't know sometimes if it makes good business sense. Like our deposits, for instance, are refundable. Because that was one of my pet peeves. I never understood that, like, if I have to go to a daycare or go somewhere and you give them money, like, heaven forbid, you can't get your money back. Well, what if life happens? Right. So for me, I was like, no, make it refundable.
And see, that's the difference too of it being a Christian-owned business, because now you're passionate about even the clients that you have coming in and their needs. So talk about some of the struggle from the beginning. Go ahead. So I can imagine full-time job, and then also building this. When was it a time when what happened when you just said, "Okay, I got to let this job go so I can focus on this full full time.
Oh, Holy Spirit spoke to me. Not the
And Godfrey, is he still working? And still?
absolutely, yes, ma'am.
She said, we need somebody benefits.
Listen, is this thing? Well, this is live.
Right.
Hopefully, he's somewhere. He's not watching this. Yes, ma'am. Can y'all edit this? He will
No.
always work. No, no. Listen, there's something sexy about a man working. My
Yeah.
husband will
No,
always work.
I agree. I
I
agree.
love that. You look, I be trying to give him extra jobs just because
just because that's
hotter.
sexy.
He's hotter. You have 3 jobs. Yes, that's sexy. That's sexy. 3 jobs. See how I think about it. But it was not I wouldn't say the audible voice of the Lord, but when I was hearing, because every step of the way you pray for something. So first and foremost, before Godfrey and I even got here, we'd have these walks in our community in the evenings at the very beginning of this. And he's like, I went to him with this and he said, well, let me pray about this because God ain't tell me. So I'm going to pray. I'm going to get back to you. Okay. And so when he did, he said, okay, let's do this. And I was like, all right. And then there was some parameters that we set right away. That was a very simple prayer. Father God, in the name of Jesus, this is what I feel as though this is what I think I'm hearing from you. Don't let this happen if you're not going to be here with us. Because I think oftentimes we can pray our way into things. I think God will allow space sometimes. If you pray hard enough, and let's be real, you will pray yourself into jobs, into relationships, into deals, into some things.
Whether it's his will or not.
Right.
And then you get in there and he's like, well, I'm going to teach you this lesson. That's why I opened that door for you.
Right. And so I'm mature enough, I feel, we both are as Christians, that was just a very simple prayer. It was like, God, this is our desire, but may our desires never outpace your will.
Gotcha.
Right. And so actually our desire is to just be in your will, right? Speak to us the things that you have for us and you've ordained for us, Lord God, and maybe walk in that. So that first and foremost, for anybody in business, that's the first thing. Like, God, hey, how you doing? And you want this or not?
And then it also helps too that you are in finance, so you know how to budget and plan and to do those things.
I should say that. Thank you, because Godfrey always says that. He's like, tell the people you did market research too, because you just out here like on faith. And
like I just opened up and God just did this thing, but
because
he does, and he did,
and he uses what you have. So that's the thing. I have over 20 years of being in finance, of being in budget. I've been blessed to be in an organization where you have such appreciation for logistics and time management. I've been able to be around wonderful, talented agents throughout my career that I can look at and see how being able to plan things through, like the benefit of that. So nothing's wasted. God can use whatever skills you have. I have 2 masters, right? One in leadership and one in human resources, right? So even being able to like structure, I was able to be my, CEO, a CFO, as well as like, looking at it from things from an HR perspective as well. And so that worked out. But some of the struggles, I think definitely,
was it ever a time where you said, man, we probably shouldn't have did this?
Oh yeah, yesterday. Oh, what am I saying? I'm lying to you this morning. So this morning, because I carry stress because I'm being real with you, because we had a perfectly good life, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Okay, my husband and I, we worked hard. We did our Dave Ramsey get out of debt free journey. Ma'am, I was delivering pizza. I was on I was admin, but I was on a bomber protective detail by day and delivering pizza at night. Okay, that was the juxtaposition of my life, that you get to be in this cool space and then at night you're delivering pizza and nobody, people talk to you any old way. But it wasn't, for me, like the delivering pizza didn't get us out of debt, right?
Yeah.
It was the fact you were able to say no to things, because I had to get to the point of contentment. Right. So I looked up, I was the one, my husband came into our family with like no debt, right? Into our marriage. Don't you wish? You'd be like, go buy something. Tempt you. You've had an apple.
And
you
then
like
he met me.
Right. You've had an apple. You're like, here's an Amex. Go. Go make me feel less bad. Right. And so student loans and things like that. And so we're really thankful for him. And he took on multiple contracts. And we even got to the point he was like, I don't want my wife delivering pizza.
Mm.
I'm like, babe, I don't have your skill set, right? Like you're tech. You can go out here and get a contract and you can make triple, right? It doing that. So let's humble ourselves. It's a small radius where we live. Like, no, the mean streets of Fairfax. I mean, come on now, right? Like, what was really gonna happen? And so I made a promise, like I couldn't be on the road past 9 o'clock, but
Mm.
it wasn't, like I said, that's what pushed us forward. It was the fact of when you're doing something extra and you're being so driven, guess who wasn't going to Starbucks? Like prior to
Gotcha.
that, I was in I was in Starbucks
Yeah,
every single day,
me
right?
too.
I didn't step foot in Starbucks for 6 months. Like I
Yeah.
had folks worried. Let me tell you
That
this.
is so funny because I'm on that grind right now, like where I love what I do, but I feel like I can do this until I die. Like seriously, I love what I do.
Yeah.
But I also know that I want to retire well,
Yeah.
right? So I'm on this grind of, not spending frivolously anymore because I spent probably the bulk of my life living that way. You know what I mean? Just
Yeah.
wanting what I want and eating what I want. But I haven't been in Starbucks this year. Like
Oh.
this year. Like seriously. And that's big. That's big. People
Yeah.
know to give me like Starbucks gift cards because I was always because
Yeah.
not just the idea, not just Starbucks, but just the idea of being able to think about where your money is going, right? Thinking about how how you're spending just because.
Right.
And it's funny that you say that because when you get that mindset, you really do you cut the
Oh,
fat. You really
we
do cut the
paid
fat.
off $82,000 in 11 months.
Wow.
Yeah. Like, and so that, fast forward, we talk about like, so you can pray, right?
Yeah.
But also you work, right? In addition to the prayer. And so
Yeah.
that's what actually got us to the point that we were able to leverage our savings. So then we then had a good income, good money, completely debt free. And then that's when we were able to leverage that. Right. And then
Gotcha.
the pandemic hit. I mean, Godfrey was like, oh, you want Mercedes Benz? That's fine. Like my husband went and worked 2 jobs and made sure that it was like that was paid off.
Mhm.
So even during the pandemic, we paid off our vehicles fast. We
Wow.
were able to sell them because of the chip shortage. And we
Yeah.
made money off of our vehicles. Like, when does that ever happen? And so we were able
Wow.
to then sell and get cash and then invest that, and everything led to the business. But it's just being open. I think I love that about God. Like, we serve such a strategic
Yeah.
God, right? Like, people think about God sometimes. I feel like in my conversations with people, he's feely and he makes you feel good and he's there and he gives you peace. And yes, also strategy.
Mhm.
And
So
yes,
what
also
about
strategy.
quitting this morning? Let's go back to that.
Oh, Godfrey told me not to stress that we could always go fly to like a non-extradition country and start over if I really needed to, because I carry stress, right?
Got
I
you.
do. You think about this.
So that's what causes you to think daily, this might be a bad idea.
It's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
I never think that it's a bad idea. It's a phenomenal idea.
Yeah.
What happens is that I think, oh my goodness, what did I get
Into
myself into? Right? Because
But
it
it's
is
so
just us.
good.
It is. It really is just us though, right? And I think when you could talk about the marketplace, you think about commerce, and that's why it's so important for me to be a believer in business and wear that.
So is
Because
that something you would leave with somebody who's watching, that you might get those thoughts?
oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
1000%.
Yeah.
You will get those thoughts, and then
Mhm.
you have to remember your why.
Mhm.
I know my why. I am
And that's a
fully
con. I was gonna ask the
convinced.
pros and cons, and I mean, that's a pro that you know your why.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's about families. Every time I see like a mom come into this space, and I have to, it is families, but it
Mm.
was over 3 million women that left the workplace.
Yeah.
Right? So you think about that even from like a kingdom perspective. Okay, that's if all 3 million of those women, even half of them, all of them were Christian and, let's say, going to church and paying tithe and giving tithe and giving
Mhm.
offerings. Now you just took that out. You took that money out the kingdom.
Mm.
Just like that. Because of the childcare infrastructure that we have in this country could not support working mothers, during that time.
Yeah.
It was gone.
And
You
you have
just
a
took that out the
solution.
kingdom.
Yeah.
Right? So just even from that perspective, when we're blessed to be a blessing, yes, with what? We need money. If you come and tell me you hungry, what I'm gonna tell you? I'm gonna pray for you. Yes, and also I'm gonna give
Yes,
you a
and
meal.
here's a piece of bread, right?
Right. So I remember my why. So even when you you have those times of struggle when it just seems like this is a lot. There's
Mhm.
no one out here. I think people. So I don't know if you know this about me. I'm a what do you do? I'm a veteran.
Mhm.
I'm a disabled vet, check. All the demographics. I'm a woman,
Mhm.
check. I
Mhm.
don't know if you noticed, I'm black, check, right? And so I think
Haven't
people,
noticed.
you didn't know.
Haven't
Well, technically, I'm only half black. I gotta say that. My mom's Indian, so I
Okay.
gotta put that out there, right? Before she catch me. But the fact is, everyone thinks like you check all these demographics where people throw money at you. That's actually not the case at all.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. When you have a pretty comfortable life, and then you say, I'm being called to do something, I'm
Mhm.
being called to be a solution for working families. It's not just even the family aspect of it. The DMV, I know you follow things. It's one of the most lonely, I think for like 2 years running now, I have the stats, the most lonely place in the country. Like, you know how they do like the top 10?
Yeah.
This area is one of the most lonely places. It's like number 1 to be the
Wow.
DC area in the country.
Wow.
Right. So even having people to come into the space, whether you have a child or not, because people get so
Now you have
comfortable.
community.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
everybody gets comfortable with
Yeah.
that, right? Like, oh, I get to work from home. I get to work. Yes, but also you need to talk to people.
Mhm.
Even if you don't want to go into an office 5 days a week, I get it. But there is benefit.
Mhm.
When you're isolated, you sitting in your pajamas all, I mean, I could tell you've been in your pajamas. Like, you meet people now. You know what I'm talking about. You could
Yes.
tell they ain't been around
Yeah.
other people. You like come out your house, right?
Yes.
So if
So
you,
yeah.
yeah, it's not just about the families as well.
Yeah. So if you're just peeking into our podcast, this is our More Than Music podcast. It's the business edition. And we're talking about this amazing co-op business called Cowo Creche, where there's office space and there's a daycare and there's event space. There's so much here. And there's my podcast space that's housed here at Cowo Creche. So we talked a little bit about pros and cons. We talked about vision. So where do you guys see yourselves at least 5 years from now? I was going to say 10, but give you 5. What would you like to see this grow into within 5 years?
This morning, Shamena, this morning, I would be in Costa Rica saying deuces. But in 5 years, I would love to see this expand to different locations.
Got you.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
And I don't gatekeep anything. I tell, if you want to know something, I will tell you that
Mhm.
this should be the norm. I feel as though what we're doing, I'm convinced, in fact, what we're doing is the future. Um, it is the future. This is
Yes.
innovative. But I think for so long we were being told as people, especially as women, that you have to choose. You have to choose. And I would, so at the start of this business, I would go to all these networking events, and I'd hear so many women say how they chose not to have children because of
Mm.
their career. Now, if you cannot for whatever reasons, that's
That's fine.
different,
Yeah.
right? That's different. And if that's a choice you made, just right. But there are people, and I want to be very clear that I heard myself say, I chose not to have a child because my career
Mm.
didn't allow for it.
Mhm.
Not because they wanted to focus on their career. However, their career or profession was,
Mhm.
didn't allow space for them to be able to have children. Because there's a distinct difference, and
Yes.
nuance matters. And please, people, listen to the words. I don't need nobody coming for me, right? If your profession didn't allow and make space for that. And I thought, how sad is that? But I'm
Mhm.
not the person waiting around for someone to give you a solution, right? It's, well, no, there's nobody's coming to give you, like, save you, right? Like, I'm, go get your fabric, go get your needle and thread, and sew your cape.
Yeah.
Right? Like go get
Yeah.
nobody's saving us. Nobody's coming to save us. Like, I
Yeah.
can't be there at home like, oh honey, what I'm gonna do? I can't be in this environment. The kids are stressing me out. You know what I did? I Googled, hello, is there a place? Can I go work? Can they be taken care of? Can they learn? You know, oh no, they can't. Okay, guess what? We prayed about it. We're gonna build it,
We're
right?
going to build it. And I love it because um I see what you're saying. 5 years from now, expanding this and taking it in different parts of the city or the country,
Oh no,
if
the
you would.
country, definitely the
Yeah,
country, not
yeah,
just the city. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, the
yeah.
country. And the whole concept of being able to have office space and have space for daycare. And what I love too about Cowo Creche is that the daycare is not just daycare, it's daycare with curriculum. It's daycare with curriculum. So your children can be in preschool here and preparing for primary school, preparing for even aftercare or daycare or
Right.
before care.
Mhm.
And so I love it. Listen, tell everybody where we're located, how they can find out more information about Cowo Creche.
Oh, thank you. So we're located right outside of Old Town Alexandria. It's, I mean, a beautiful area. This is called the Carlisle area. So
Mm.
lots of green spaces, lots of restaurants, none of which paid me
Right. To
to
say
be
their
on here to
names.
say their name. But I mean, you just have so many great options. The metro is right there if you want a metro in. We have parking on site as well. Great amenities. You know, for me, I feel like if you're going, I love hospitality. I think that's just island people. That's just who we are.
Mm.
And so, we have coffee is on us, nitro cold brew, kombucha on tap. We put out snacks, sparkling water machine. Because if you're gonna leave your house, like let it make sense, right? Like we
raid the kitchen every time we come. You probably have me on camera looking through to find.
We actually do have a camera in there. I just need to let people know because some people they see them hot Cheetos and it's like, what? Really? I get it from Sam's Club, but y'all don't need to. One bag.
We going through cabinets. What is in here? This, that.
One bag. But I mean, all of our information it's online. Thank you. So cowocreche.com. You can follow us on Instagram, the Facebook, LinkedIn. But I would just love people. I think Cheryl, thank you for the opportunity because I really just want people to come try it to see the difference. Because I think you, as a people, we can, women, period, we'll make things happen. We can make it do what it do. We can have our business, juggle the children, be at home doing this, doing that. But if you come into a space where you're focused, where your mind is truly in tune with what you're doing, like you're addressing the business that pays you, the growth that you see from that is exponential. Awesome. Right? And that's what we want for people. When you stop being so comfortable but being at home by yourself in a silo and you come out and you see that you can have community, you can speak to people, you can collaborate. There's beauty in community.
It is.
You're going to see how you're going to grow as a person and as a professional.
Listen, I am excited about this podcast. It is our inaugural podcast. It's doing it with businesses. And so we're going to do this weekly. We're going to introduce new businesses. If you're interested in being a part of the More Than Music podcast, the business edition, make sure you reach out to us. All of our information is on all of our social media page of where you can go so that we can do what we're doing here at Cowo Creche. If you're interested in finding out more information about Cowo Creche, it is strolling along the bottom of this amazing podcast today. The space that I am in, Cowo Creche, created specifically for me and my podcast. And I thank you so very much for the partnership. I thank you so very much. You will hear more from Shamena and her husband Godfrey as we continue to grow this. But listen, we got a closet we need to create.
Yes.
If you're looking for space, I saw musicians on here. So if you're looking for a place to shed, bring your equipment to come and shed with some other musicians, they have that space. If you want to do a listening party, they have that space. If you want to do demonstrations, if you want to do something, I don't know. If they want to do podcasting, they can use this room, not my decoration, but you can use this room. I'm joking. You could use this space. If you have a podcast and you want to tape your podcast, this space is available. If you want to do a part-time of working in this space and letting your children grow and be educated on a weekly basis, they have space for that. It's a co-op situation, but it's along with a daycare with a number of opportunities, millions of opportunities you can do in this wonderful, wonderful space. So I'm excited. This is our first podcast, and I'm excited that you are a part of it.
You're inspiring me. I'm like, I want a podcast. I don't know what we gonna say. Can you have a one-woman podcast?
Yeah.
I'm looking around at the. Is that possible? It is. Okay, it's gonna be me and my
Listen.
personalities. I
Thank
love
you all
it.
so much. So it's the More Than Music podcast. Be sure to tune in again next Thursday and go back and watch this and share it and tell everybody else about it. All right.
Yes.
That's going to do it for us tonight. We had an amazing conversation. We're done.
Love
Podcast
it.
number 1 in the books.
Books.
Thank you all for joining me. Have a great night.